Hey y'all, welcome in. I am Bones of Omen. I am a Dead by Daylight killer main content creator. I also dabble in other horror games as well. We did a Dead Space playthrough on the hardest difficulty. We did a Silent Hill 2, all for the first time, and on the hardest difficulty. I am on Twitch and on Kick. We are expanding every day. We post videos on YouTube, and we're also trying to expand on TikTok. And today, I want to talk about the constant faction war that goes on in Dead by Daylight. In Dead by Daylight, there are two factions, mainly two factions. You got the survivor side and the killer side. Both sides who argue that this game is either sided. The survivors say it's killer sided, the killers say it's survivor sided. Regardless of the point on which stance you take, this video is for you. This video is for the entire Dead by Daylight community. The constant faction war that happens in this community is what's tearing this game apart. I am a killer main, and I got roped into it. I got roped into advocating for killers because I saw the constant issues that were plaguing killer. But I do understand that there's also problems that survivors go through as well. Their main issue is solo queuing. I understand. It is a little rough playing solo in Dead by Daylight. And it's just this constant faction war between these both sides arguing and bickering, and it's just keeping this game going in the same direction, which is downhill. Downhill. Both sides of the argument need to stop fighting each other and meet in the middle. I get it. Both sides are suffering. They are. Personally, me, I believe one side's suffering more than the other, but I'm not here to argue that. What I'm here trying to say is that we need to come together as a community and meet in the middle. We can go and talk about other semantics later on, but what needs to be done is both sides need to come to the table and say, look, we're having this problem. Cool. We're having this problem. Cool. Let's meet somewhere in the middle. Let's find a sweet spot for both killers and survivors to address both their issues and work on them. Work towards a common goal, you know? Instead of just bickering and arguing and saying this and that, you know? We need to realize that two things can be true at the same time. I understand. It is very, very frustrating to play killer right now. 2v8, it is absolutely horrible. Absolutely horrible. I cannot stand to play 2v8 killer right now. As a killer? No. No. No, it is absolutely horrible. It grinds my gears. I'd rather just play solo queue. But survivors, it's it's quite the blast. It's quite the blast. But I also understand that playing Survivor on 2v8 can be a little annoying as well. You got your sandbaggers, you got like people just not doing anything. There's problems on both sides. Both sides are dealing with problems. I just personally believe one has more than the other, but nothing's going to change. It's just going to get more and more problematic for both sides. Tunneling, that is a result of the direction of this game. Slugging and tunneling is the result of the direction this game is heading to. When Fast Track before it was changed, it was literally punishing killers for hooks. It was the weirdest thing ever to add to this game. Like it just made the game worse. It really did. And because we can't come together as a community and be like, hey, I don't think that's probably the smartest thing to add to the game. Updating something like that. So things like that happen because we just can't like agree. We can't come to the middle and say, hey, I'm a survivor man. I don't think that's probably good for the killer. And killers can be like, well, I understand that tunneling does suck, and I would rather not, but you're kind of forcing my hand at certain points. Personally, as a killer main, I don't like tunneling. I hate it. It's boring, but I do it because I want to win. I want to win. It's a valid strategy. Like I want to win, but it's boring. It'd be more fun to spread it out, like do something different, or I don't know, just make something unique. But you can't play this game a certain way. You can't just be like, I'm just gonna spread out my hooks, blah blah blah. You're just gonna lose. You're just gonna lose. Tunneling is just the perfect example of the community not getting along and just meeting in the middle on trying to solve certain issues. Like, you guys hate tunneling and slugging. Well, I hate doing it too. I hate doing it. It's not fun. It's boring. It's lame. It's also incredibly just like frustrating too that I'm forced to play a certain way because I want to win. And until Dead by Daylight, the community can come together and agree that there are issues on both sides. Like, hey, listen, you got this, we got this. Let's meet in the middle. Nothing's gonna change. Nothing will change unless we can just come together as a community and just say, all right, all right, all right. You might have a point. We need to listen to each other out instead of just being toxic to each other. I see both sides making arguments, like Survivor's like, oh, this is broken, and they'll get toxic comments from killers and vice versa. More so the other people just trying to make their own arguments and like, hey, this is not right, or hey, blah blah blah. And the toxic comments, it's just, like, you need to take it a little more seriously. If you're gonna if you're gonna put your voice out there to say how you feel about this game, you need to take it seriously. You can't just dismiss something because you don't agree with it. You can't just say that's a skill issue, that's toxic, low MMR. Like, can we have an honest conversation? Can we just be serious for once instead of just rage baiting or trying to get underneath someone's skin? Because things aren't going to change. It's just going to get worse. When things get harder for Killer, we're going to have to play a certain way that is not fun for survivors. You guys are already seeing it. Survivors already seen it. The constant tunneling, the constant slugging. You guys don't like it. It sucks. It sucks. You know? It's not fun for either side. It's not. But until you guys take things more seriously, I'm talking to both sides, by the way, not just survivors. Until both sides can just take things a little more seriously and say, all right, I hear you have these problems. We have these problems. Can we meet in the middle? Can we meet in the middle? Can we make Dead by Daylight a better game together as a community? Because we all love this game. We all play it. You know? We don't need to be toxic to each other. You don't need to be saying dumb things or just trying to discredit someone's argument by saying low MMR, low skill. Hear them out. Hear them out. Hear both sides out, please. Please, for the love of God. And try to come together as a community instead of trying to tear it apart. Because it's already so fractured. It really is. The hatred. It's insane. It really is. It's like, oh, are you this or this? And I understand there's a medium. There's just like the medium of certain players who just like they don't really care. They're just here for the fun. But the people who like truly, really want to make this game better, we need to come together. We need to come together as a community. We need to stop being so toxic with each other. We need to start taking things a little more seriously, especially when we're trying to voice our concerns on whatever platform they're being pushed on. Just stop saying like, oh, it's a low skill. It's just like the same rhetoric, the same stuff over and over again. Just keep in mind, both sides love this game and they want it to be better. And if we can be in the middle, we'll be one step closer. But until then, nothing's gonna change. So I urge both sides of the argument, please, please, for the love of God, can we come together as a community so we can fix problems on both sides to make this game more enjoyable? So we can play a game that we actually like instead of just being constantly put down by whatever is tearing this game apart, whether it's the toxicity, the game mechanics, certain issues here and there. Can we just come together, please? Please? Else nothing will change. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all for watching to the end of the video. Make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know what y'all think in the comments section. I will be reading them vividly. And I hope to see y'all next time. Y'all have a good night. I hope y'all wake up tomorrow and have a beautiful day.